In my enlightenment and awareness journey, I realized that the different dynamics between being oppressed and having an oppressor really changes when you talk systematically about the kind of oppression that we are facing here. Now, why am I saying something like this? The first thing that triggered this whole search or in-depth search was when I noticed a lot of women online come online and say things like, I pay my own bills, I don't need no form of assistance. And to any other person, it will seem like, why are you making the whole achievement, or why are you making it an achievement that you're a functional member of society? You are supposed to pay your bills, you're supposed to pay your taxes, you're supposed to be self-sufficient enough to an extent at the very least. But then again, when you try your best to look at in context as to what I did, I took a pause in trying to react and try to make some form of inference from my own personal perspective. Because in reality, that's the only way I can genuinely perceive the world from my own lens. So I try to look at the dynamic from where I'm coming from to understand why they are making something like that. And the closest thing as to I could get to the whole understanding behind feminism and its relationship to the patriarchy was me looking at racism and its relationship to the same set patriarchy. And what I did was I took a look at the whole achievements that people would call basic, especially achievements that we black people would recognize as achievements. I took a look at this and I understood that if a black person were to come online and say, yo, I just graduated, and they are overly happy about it, to a white person, it might seem like that person is kind of overreacting because he feels having education is kind of basic, like you are supposed to have yourself educated, especially in relations to society. But when you take a look at all of the vices that are being put in place that makes things actually difficult for most people of color to actually be able to afford an education and remain consistent through the duration of their educational experiences, you then get to understand why said thing is being hyped up in this particular manner. So I took that lens and tried my best to apply it in the whole patriarchy and feminism sense. And it made a lot of sense to me. Now, this was what I found out. As a woman, if you were to come online to say, I am independent, I don't need anybody, I pay my own bills, it might seem like, why are you flaunting something so basic? But when you tend to look at the certain vices that opposes the whole idea of a woman being self-sufficient, you realize that even society, most of the time, this is not me making some form of generalization. This is just me speaking from observation, be it personal or be it consensually speaking, or speaking from a consensus rather. You find out that society views women in certain fields as being incapable, being incompetent. That's just in one aspect, to the mere fact that even more often than so, you see men making gestures or ridiculing women that they are not emotionally stable to handle certain jobs and whatnot based on their whole emotional fluctuations and all that stuff. Aside from that, even if you tend to look within the corporate world, you realize that a lot of men don't have a high expectations for women. You find out that men don't think women are capable of succeeding by themselves. They feel like it's either they have a husband that was in position that gave them that added advantage, or some men feel like women just basically slept their way to the top by accepting certain sexual favors. And they genuinely do not see women being capable of achieving some form of achievements in the corporate world or in the work field in general. So that really should apply some form of context when you see a woman talking about how she pays her own bills and how she's self-sufficient and how she's made all of these accomplishments. Even if you tend to look at entrepreneurship or self-employment, you find out that because a woman is the one trying to have her own startup ideas and her own startup ventures, you'd realize that the majority of the people who serve as vices to said ventures are the men who think that the women are overly desperate to the point that they are willing to accept social favors just so that they can push their business a lot more forward. Now, that alone is another point that I actually discovered when I was applying my whole lens and from my own experience in many dynamics of oppression. And whilst looking at a lot of oppressive system, from patriarchy to racism to tribalism to nationalism and many other forms of discrimination, I found out that there is something in common. Systematically speaking, I'm not speaking from an individualistic point of view. Systematically speaking, those who tend to be privileged do not even know that they're privileged, because there's one thing privilege does that is very, very poisonous and concerning to society. Privilege is very, very quiet. It is very silent. It is ever passive. And when you tend to point it out that you are privileged, people often get defensive, because humanity, we feel like there is some form of nobility in struggle. So immediately you point out to somebody that they were born with an inherent advantage over those that were not born in that position, they tend to defend the whole fact. When in reality, if you are born within a bubble, your mind will subconsciously make you always avoid the observation of said bubble, because the constant awareness of that is mentally tiring. I can give you a very, very quick instance. The human eyes can always see the nose, but because of that constantly stimulates and triggers the eyes that I am always seeing my nose, it tends to block that threshold of stimuli that sends that signal that it is seeing my nose, until someone points it out to you, which I just did, that you can't see your nose. But until maybe later on, you then get to blur the fact that your nose is right in front of you. That is the best and the most practical analogy I can use for privilege. So whenever someone that is inside privilege tends to look at those outside that privilege, because it's invisible, they tend to feel like I am just in same position as everybody else, and everybody else same position as me. So me looking at you celebrate something I feel as basic is me thinking you are over exaggerating, when in reality that person that has been oppressed has a genuine reason to feel accomplished for having said achievements, because like unlike you, they were not born with that particular advantage to have certain things like this. And in that whole process, if I tend to say so myself, it really gave me an in-depth understanding as to how things are supposed to be and how things have been all this while, that made me understand why certain demographics that are oppressed come to make some form of achievements look like it's a big deal, when in reality it is a big deal, understanding the background. So to conclude everything I've been saying basically is this: whenever you see someone making an achievement seem big from your understanding, rather than you feeling like or having the need to always evaluate said achievement, try your best to understand the perspective at which they are coming from. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every complaint of every oppressed person is valid, or every form of observation that they have made systematically to complain about their oppression is also valid. What I'm saying is, before you are so quick to strip them of that whole joy of them being happy of making certain achievements, try your best to understand at least the background at which they came from. And hi, my name is Rather Treasured. If you've made it up to this point in this video, you might as well subscribe and drop a like and tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you.